I'd like to call the April 16th meeting to order. Will you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brett?
Pray with me. Father, we thank you for all of our teachers, students, parents, and the community for their support in the walkout. We also want to thank our legislators for their work in improving education for our state. Please be with our students and teachers as they go through state testing. Having to hit the ground running for such an important event is very difficult. Please help them through it. Also be with our world leaders as they too make decisions affecting the way of life for everyone. And finally, be with our men and women of the armed forces as they protect us, bring them home safe. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Brett. Next item will be presentation. Oh, yeah, I guess we do need to call roll, don't we?
Dr. Kincaid?
Here.
Mr. Newsom?
Here.
Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mrs. Troop? Here. Mrs. Zimmershed? Here.
Thank you. Next item will be 2.1, presentation of Employee of the Month and Friends of Education Awards. And our first person up is our Certified Employee of the Month for April, Donya Garside. Out there? Come up now. All right. Yeah, she's our technology coach at the West Middle School.
Okay, before I get into reading Ms. Gartside's write-up, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you. I know that you really help us out with anything that we ever need at West. We've asked you, and not asked you several times, and you jump right in there and do whatever's needed. So we really appreciate you finding your solutions, and Donya is not a complainer. She's a solution finder. So we really appreciate that. And I'll read your write-up here. Ms. Donya Gartside has been chosen as Certified Employee of the Month. Donya is an amazing coworker. She goes above and beyond to help West Middle School any way that she can. She is that type of person that digs in and does whatever needs to be done. As a technology coach, she shares new technology ideas that will benefit our students and classrooms. She's always willing to help with technology issues that arise. Donya is a big part of our professional development days and is a key part for training our teachers to use the engaged teaching model. She not only helps in the classrooms, but is willing to help wherever she is needed. This could be in the office, covering a class, enrollment of students, or motivating our students and staff for state testing. She's a tremendous team player, and we're so glad to have her at West Middle School. So, congratulations, Donya.
Great. Thank you. Next next is our Support Employee of the Month for April. Special Education Paraprofessional at the Woodlands Elementary. It's Melinda Phillips.
Melinda Phillips has been selected as the Support Employee of the Month for April 2018. She is very deserving of this award. Mrs. Phillips has worked for Ponca City Public Schools for many years, with this being her second year at Woodlands. Her commitment to student success is evident with every new assignment. Throughout the years, her primary role has been as a special education paraprofessional, and she is a natural in this role. She treats each of her students as if they were her own children. She has high expectations while also ensuring that each and every child feels loved and respected. In her classroom, she provides daily assistance to certified staff and students, and she is very capable of leading the class if necessary when the teacher is gone. She looks for the good in her students, celebrates their successes, and encourages them when they struggle. Outside of her classroom, Mrs. Phillips is often our go-to girl, providing valuable services to staff and students alike. She has a special way with students and on many occasions has brought calm to challenging situations. She has a gentle way with kids that immediately lets them know they are in a safe space. She also encourages students by mentoring, reading, or simply listening. One of the ways she helps her staff is by rounding up the walkie-talkies at the end of each day and distributing them to the teachers that have, after school duty, a much more difficult task than it sounds. Our staff is very appreciative of this service. She is 100% reliable and always positive and optimistic. Thank you, Mrs. Phillips, for being a part of the Woodlands family. We are honored that you are part of the team. You make a difference. We're very proud to recognize you as the April 2018 Support Employee of the Month for Ponca City Public Schools.
Great job. Thank you, Melinda. Next one will be our Friends of Education for April. Officer Eric Welch, Resource Officer at the Ponca City High School.
Officer Eric Welch makes an excellent friend of education. He is always positive, always polite, and he is fun. He is encouraging, knowledgeable, and he speaks to everyone, faculty, staff, and students alike. He has a way of making others see problems or situations from a different perspective. Officer Welch has the unique ability of pointing out the obvious to students without sounding degrading. He makes his point clear while keeping students' dignity intact. He can be firm and serious while keeping the respect of those around him. We appreciate Officer Welch for being Pohi's police officer.
I think we're going to need you three outside there to take some pictures before you run off. We appreciate y'all for coming. Next item will be public comments. I believe we have one person to speak to us. Zach, out there? There you are. Come up front.
Good evening. My name is Zach Murray. I'm the president for the Ponca City Association of Classroom Teachers, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the teacher walkout. I'm going to let Miss Arrett deal with all the numbers later. I mainly want to say thank you to the school board for supporting us in our efforts to get better funding for our schools. Also, thank you to our community, which will be doing that more directed later. Thank you to the staff and teachers in helping make our efforts a success at the Capitol. But most of all, I think I speak for all of the teachers and staff in Ponca City when we say that we could not have been as successful without Mrs. Arrett's help and support. She was willing to go to the floor for us and help make it possible for us to go to the Capitol the last 2 weeks and get done what we needed to get done. There's still more work to be done, but we are up to the challenge. And again, we thank you, and Ms. Arrett especially, thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. You've done a great job.
Item 4, building assessment reviews. East Middle School.
So we're skipping
Carla?
to Trout.
Oh, we're going to Trout. Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to go to Trout.
Mr. Long had an emergency.
Yeah, Mr. Long won't be here tonight.
Forget me.
No,
then.
no, no.
There we go. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having us out tonight. We're excited. I know you've got a lot of things to do, but it's always fun to be able to talk about trout. You have all of our data. I know you've looked that over. So tonight I just wanted to put the personal spin on it and share some things with you. Last year, our kids, we always come up with a motto every year, and so they asked us this year to return to Think, Believe, Move Mountains. That's the way we start every day as we are dismissed from the gym. I have brought to you this 2017 OSTP reading scores. Normally we do a comparison, but as you know, we had so many changes going on. This is our baseline data. And the way we look at it, it's somewhere to start from. So we are not we were not and we will not be happy with those percentages. So I am standing here to tell you those will be going up. There's our 5th grade, our 4th grade, and our 3rd grade. I broke it down by the different classifications. I also wanted to bring to you, if I can keep going here, the data that we look at each month. We do our STAR data, and so that is some of the information that I broke down for you. We break ours down into 4 quartiles, the 75th and above, the 74th to the 50th, which anything above that line would be on grade level. 49 to 33 percentiles would be below, and of course the 32nd. What I did on this graph, the numbers that go across the top were the number of students that were performing in that area in August. And then the number that's in parentheses with the little asterisk beside it, that was the recent that I took off in February. So we were planning on being here in March, and so that's my February numbers. Please notice that we are delighted, if you will look across the top 2, how much our kids have grown this year. Again, that's August through February. We believe that reading is the foundation. I love it when people say, read, read, read at Trout, and that's what we do. We know we've got to get our parents involved with it. We do a lot of practice reading during the day, but we also want our kids reading at night. One of the things that we do is we have a reading parent night. We call it Bingo for Books. Our kids come dressed in their Halloween costumes. That's always fun for them to do. They go down to the classrooms, do some activities. We give them some computer software information that they can take with them. They can be on ST Math. They can be on various reading programs at home, our study island. So we share that at this time. And then we go down to the gym and play bingo. And of course, the prizes are books. It's a great way to put books in the homes. Another thing that we are very proud of, that we've grown this project, Terry Vogel brings to us each year One Book, One District. Last fall, we did the Adventures of the South Pole Pig and had a lot of fun with that. We originally had 139 families sign up. Everyone can participate in this, but we do send a flyer home asking the parents to be aware of it. The book's coming home. It's purchased with Title I funds, so those always need to come back to us. And it lets the parents know that each night there will be a chapter that's assigned. So we do a lot of fun things every morning in the gym. We do questions and activities and just have all kinds of fun. This spring we did the Indian in the Cupboard, and you will notice the growth. We had 139 families participate in the fall, 207 families participate in the spring. We're about numbers. We're about increasing our numbers. We enjoy putting those books in the hands of our kids at home. This year, a new program to us, OSU alumni called and said, hey, can we come out and join you on Read Across America Week? So we have Mrs. Wilcox, and I bet most of you guys know Bill Schutte there. Putting Bill Schutte in front of a kindergarten class is kind of scary, but you know what? We have stories to tell. So that was a fun addition that we hope we get to do next year. Interventions that we do a number of interventions. Last year I brought to you information about the Reading Mastery Program and the Corrective Reading. Those are the 2 programs that we utilize in special ed. We also do several interventions outside special ed, but I know we are all interested in how that intervention is doing. This was the information that I brought to you, from first grade this year, and so you can see the growth of those individual students. What I wanted to do was to see, though, will it sustain itself? So you have to remember, sometimes our special ed students move, so we don't have as much comparison as we'd like to, but if you will notice, what I did was take student 1A. Last year they showed a growth of +6 there, and now we are tracking that same student to see what their growth will be from August to May. We've got some great growth patterns going on there. We love that program. I know Amy was participating in that and seeing some good growth across the district. If you want more questions on that, we can give that to you. Okay. Shelley's waving at me there. These are individual students. I want to get down to math if I can. Corrective reading, we're still seeing that growth. Look at student 3A. Last year, that student grew 41 percentile points. Very proud of that information. Research says, Robert Marzano is always telling us how important it is for students to keep track of their data. Everybody wants to know where they are on the perfect attendance. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the prizes that we give away at the end. But over on the right-hand side, you'll see that they're tracking their AR goals and their accelerated math goals. We've got multiplication there on the left, AR points on the right. These are outside classrooms. Kids love to see this information, and teachers do too. So when we see them in the hallway, we can brag on them. Our math scores, we're very proud of our math. Fifth grade had a 47% passage rate. Fifth grade did. Fourth grade, 69%. We are anxiously awaiting to see how those fourth grade students who are now fifth graders are going to prove themselves in math and reading. So we're anxious to get that information. Testing starts full force tomorrow. I have the math growth. Again, broke it down the same way for our STAR. You can see the numbers that we're posting in February compared to where they were in August. As you know, the success of all of our students is dependent upon the quality teachers. We've got an art teacher that we share between two buildings doing a great job. This is one of our music teachers, Darren Love. Most of us didn't learn to play guitar when we were in elementary school, or the pianos that he has in front of him. Over on the left, that's our Teacher of the Year, Karen Hershey, doing a parent-teacher conference. You'll notice that the student is with her. And the little boy that's kind of blurred there, he had come running up to me in the hallway to tell me we had an alligator in second grade. So there is an alligator in there. Don't worry, it's foam. I had a little bit of a heart attack, but he's not real. Chromebooks have changed the way we teach. We're excited. Jason and I were just talking about this is our refreshing year, so we are anxious to be doing more and more work with Chromebooks. We also have fun outside. We have a fantastic PTA. This was our recent sock hop. You can see that they were all decked out. We have lots of information that I can't share in 7 minutes. We also have lots of faces that we want to share, lots of activities. So we invite you to stop by anytime over on Prospect. Just come in, and we have lots to share with you, and our kids have lots to share with you. We appreciate what you've done for us this year. Ponca City is a wonderful place to teach. I think one of the big pluses that came out of the walk in Oklahoma City, our teachers came back realizing some of the pluses that we have in Ponca City that maybe some of the other teachers do not. Again, I say thank you. Thank you for our teachers. Thank you for our students. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
Carla.
Do you want me to shut it down, or do you
No,
want-
no.
I'll turn it over.
Okay.
Thank you for babysitting us.
She gonna do Benton's? Oh, she'll do hers.
You ready? Go ahead.
You ready for the next agenda item, or are you
Yes.
just ready for me to
Superintendent's report.
go? Okay.
Wherever you wanna go.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about the tons of legislation that has been being filed and made into law this past month. We're just going to go over some of the highlights and talk to you a little bit about how it will affect teacher salary and how it will go back into the formula. And then I want to talk to you about some effects of the walkout and some results from the walkout. Obviously, the first bill is House Bill 1010XX, and this was basically the major revenue bill expected to generate more than $428 million from the following resources. Cigarette tax, that's $1 tobacco tax on each pack of cigarettes. Gas and diesel tax, which is 3 cents on every gallon of unleaded, 6 cents on every gallon of diesel. Gross production tax was raised from 2% to 5%. We're still the lowest in the nation as far as gross production tax. And then the original bill had hotel motel tax, which added $5 per room hotel motel tax, but that was repealed. The fiscal impact of those sources was about $575 million in fiscal year 19, and that bill has been signed into law by the governor. House Bill 1011 XX, and I'll remind you that XX is a bill that happens in the second special session, what the two X's are for. This caps itemized deductions. The fiscal impact increase of $94 million in revenue for fiscal year 19. It has been signed into law by the governor. House Bill 1012 XX, and I kept these in order. I actually should have put it with the other slide, but I wanted to keep them in order by their number. It repeals the hotel motel tax from House Bill 1010 XX. And the fiscal impact loss was just over $46 million in revenue. It was signed by the governor. House Bill 1019 XX is the collection of online sales tax. And basically, if there is a third-party seller that uses some type of platform like Amazon to promote their sales, and they have to collect and remit sales and use taxes. And the fiscal impact estimate is right at $20 million for fiscal year 19. This bill has been signed by the governor. House Bill 1023 XX is the new minimum salary schedule. And you can see on the graphic, we are above the state minimum. This is not what our salary schedule will look like. This is the raise at each level. Bachelor's degree with national board certification. We don't have a separate salary schedule for that. Master's degree, and then a doctor's degree. So we just have the three salary schedules, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. But you can see that at least a $5,001 increase for every one of our certified teachers. Estimated average teacher increase is just over $6,100. And this bill has been signed into law by the governor. And I want to go back to this. The increase, if you'll notice as we get down to the lower parts, the bottom part of the salary schedule, so if a teacher has more experience, the raise increases, which to me is really significant because our retirees will recognize almost a 20% raise, and if they teach 3 more years after receiving this raise, it will increase the retirement up to 20% for the rest of their life. And with our crises and our teacher shortage, that's a big thing. Maybe we can keep our retirees a little bit longer. Also, it might be incentive for our retired teachers to come back. We do have retired teachers that do come back to work for us. They may retire once they get their combination of ADN as young as 51, sit out for 3 years, and they can recalculate their retirement. And in our district, we give credit year for year. A lot of districts, if you're retired and you come back, you may get 10 steps the maximum. We give year for year service. And we do that with our out-of-state teachers as well. And we almost have to because we are 20 miles south of the Kansas border. It's hard to compete if we don't. We get a lot of retired Kansas teachers and then bring them in on their years of experience salary step. And that's been a big plus for us when we're recruiting out-of-state teachers. House Bill 1026 XX provides a $1,250 raise for full-time support employees. And what the law reads is that it's for our 10-month TAs and paras. So we will add the $1,250 across the hourly salary schedule so that classification, the 10-month TAs and paras, will have a $1,250 raise. It will be prorated for our part-time support people as well. It has been signed into law by the governor. House Bill 3375 is the ball and dice bill for roulette and craps in the casino, which was previously not allowed in the state of Oklahoma. This bill was formerly House Bill 1013 XX. It's estimated to be approximately $24 million in state fiscal year 19. No fiscal impact statement has been provided by the Oklahoma Tax Commission as of yet, but it's expected to generate the same amount of revenue as it did in 1013XX. And the reason this bill was reintroduced is because additionally, this was not allocated toward education. So it's now House Bill 3375. It has been signed into law by the governor. House Bill 3705 is basically the fiscal year 19 State Department of Education appropriations. And this education budget was passed before the April 1st deadline, which is only the second time that's happened since 2003. Fiscal year funding is over almost $3 billion. And you can see how it's increased from 2008 to 2019. It has been signed into law by the governor. This is just kind of a summary of the fiscal year 19 Common Education budget. This budget appropriates $2.9 billion to Common Ed, which is a $480 million increase over the current school year in Common Education budget. A lot of that will go to those raises that we talked about, and there are some dollars set aside for textbooks or to go into the general fund. However, the increase of the state aid will go into the formula, so the increase to the education appropriations. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that at a later time. The 19% increase will fund the state's largest ever teacher pay raise, and we talked about this, $6,100 raise for average. In some of our state's most experienced teachers will receive an $8,800 raise per year, depending on the salary schedule they're on, whether that's more along the master at doctor level. The increase raises teacher pay above our regional average and reduces the education investment gap that exists between Oklahoma and states that border Oklahoma. And I've talked to you about how far below we were in that area. So these are some sources of funding. I just threw this slide in here so you could take a look at that. We have general revenue funds, education reform from House Bill 1017, the Common Ed technology, the lottery trust, and mineral leasing. And this is how our state aid per pupil spending will increase. And you can see that there was a slight increase from 08 to 09, and then it stayed pretty steady at 10, and then it's just been a continual decrease. So we are going to be up higher on our state aid per weighted student spending in the last 10 years for fiscal year 19. Now, I thought this was a neat graphic that I actually got from OSSBA. It talks about the revenue versus the expenditure comparison, and I'll have to tell you, this is just an estimate. We do not know for sure. Fuel, you can see almost $105 million. The tobacco tax, $153 million. The gross production increase from 2 to 5%, about 170. The income tax deduction gap, which caps at $17,000, should generate about $94 million. The online sales tax, which is like the third-party vendors through a platform such as Amazon. We call it the Amazon tax, but that's not exactly it. About $20 million. Gaming expansion with ball and dice, about $24 million. So our new revenue is estimated at $566 million. And the teacher pay raise, $353 million. Support pay raise, about $52 million. Flex benefit increase, close to $25 million. Textbook state aid, $50 million. New education spending, $480 million. And then our state employee pay raise, which I haven't talked about that bill, but their pay raise will amount to about almost $64 million. So our new overall spending, according to this estimate, is about $544 million. So it looks like our revenue is greater than the expenses. Now, there's been a lot of talk on repeal if this comes to an initiative petition, and there's a group out there, the Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite, that have said they were going to basically take a veto referendum to the people, where basically they can veto the additional taxes. That has not been filed. Now, if an initiative petition is filed in Oklahoma, it would take approximately 42,000 signatures. And if the people that initiate this veto referendum get the 42,000 signature, it means that the law is put on hold. And they have to file this prior to the end of when the bills were approved, which was in special session, the second special session. So we don't know if it's going to be filed or not. The hopes is that it won't, but we have to continue to educate and advocate not to sign that petition, because all this work could be on hold. Obviously, with any state appropriation, we can have cuts across the board, and if there are cuts across the board, education's percentage is about 7%. A new legislature could come in next year and repeal everything. So this is what we have on the table right now. A lot of work. Our teachers were great advocates, and they have just been diligent in their efforts. And I want to talk just a little bit about the teacher walkout. First of all, based on the time missed, there's no makeup time for students, because several years ago you all voted to have it 1080 hours or the 180 days, and our students actually missed 10 days of school, but we will come to school on April 30th, which was an original PD day, and May 14th, which was our final snow day, providing no inclement weather. You never know in Oklahoma. But our students will make it by the skin of the chinny chin chin. So we will not have to change our calendar. At our pre-K center, I think we're about 0.67 of an hour above the 1080. So we cannot miss any more school. We can't dismiss at noon on the last day of school, so we have to get in our hours. So we're praying for no inclement weather or pipes bursting or heat problems. So no makeup time for our students. Our teacher contract is 185 days. Now our teachers miss 9 days, and board members, you probably know that we called the teachers back in on Friday. Actually, we ran a survey every day, and the survey said that ready to come back to school. At that point, parents had made arrangements for their children throughout the week. I'd spoken to a number of parents each day of the walkout, and they weren't anticipating coming back, but I think it was a good time for our staff to come back and plan and just heal a bit. It was a tough 2 weeks for all of us. It was a good day just to get back together and collaborate and talk about the successes and the challenges and what's still to come. So the teachers will have 8 total days to make up. Now, they will work on the snow day, which was not a contract day for them, but the April 30th PD day was a contract day. And we're going to talk a little bit tonight about how we're going to make up that time. Our support personnel, they have different contracts than our teachers. We brought back our straight time employees on Monday, April 9th and 10th. April 9th, sorry about that. That would be our 10-month CMP employees, our 10-month bus drivers, and our crossing guards, because they are paid on straight time. When they don't work, they don't get paid. They don't get paid in the summer. From March 15th, from the payroll period, March 16th to April 15th, we had spring break in there. We had Good Friday in there. We had 2 weeks of walkout time in there. So we did bring them back last Monday, and we want to ensure they get the days that they were originally contracted for. We're kind of increasing our payroll window for them, because I think the pay period was 19 days from middle of March to middle of April, and with all the days missed, they were only going to receive like 4. But we brought them back in 5 days sooner, and then we're going to extend the payroll period. So we'll balance it out in May, because they're going to have 3 days to make up as well. Our 10 and 11-month support came back on last Wednesday, April 11th. So our teachers had them doing tasks. Our principals were under contract, and I think we got all kinds of things done when our support employees came back, from sorting band uniforms to doing things in the classroom that we just didn't have time to do. So it was a good thing for our employees. Our CMP transportation hourly folks will need to make up 3 days. And obviously, they can apply leave, and we're going to add those 3 days on the end of the calendar for our straight time people. A lot of those people, if you start adding time in the middle of the day or on the end of the day, they will accrue more than 40 hours a week, and if that happens, we owe them time and a half on comp time or pay, and obviously, schools are exempt from that. Our TAs and our paraprofessionals will owe us 5 days. And what we're going to do beginning today is we never allow our people to accrue comp time. And our principals can tell you, sometimes we're sending them out the doors when we still need them. So we're going to allow them to accrue comp time, and HR will monitor it carefully. They always do, and make sure they don't accrue more than 40 hours in a week. But our TAs and paraprofessionals are 32.5 hour a week employees, so they can actually accrue 7.5 hours of comp time and not go over that 40 hours. So they're going to start accruing comp time as of today. Our 10-month secretaries were called in 4 days during the walkout at the same time as our principals, so they're going to have 4 days to make up. And there is no way around this. They are 40-hour employees. We're going to allow them to accrue comp time, and that comp time will be at time and a half, and it's just something that we have to do. There's no other way around that. Or they can apply leave at the end of the year. What I can say about our teacher walkout, and I've told our teachers this numerous times, I've tried to communicate with them daily, is our teachers know more about civics than they've ever known before, unless they're a social studies or a civics teacher. They know about revenue sources. They know about bills. They know more about school finance. They were there at that Capitol every single day talking to our lawmakers, and many of them sent me emails throughout the day telling me what a lawmaker said or something like that. So they were true advocates. In education, including all of us, we've been complacent for the last 10 years, and what our teachers have proven is they have the power to get things done in education, and I think our employees are more advocates than they have ever been. They will not let us get in a hole, another 10-year hole. So there's a lot of power in the walkout. I told the employees today, I sent them an email, there is going to be some healing from the walkout. Some of our teachers felt that they came back and didn't get everything that they wanted, but we talked about digging out of a 10-year hole. You can't do that overnight. There were a lot of great things that happened, but the most powerful thing that happened is that our teachers are true advocates for education. And specifically for Ponca City Public Schools, I think that our district is more of a team than we've ever been before because of this walkout. Our teachers have supported each other. They know each other's names and faces. They may have known their names, but not their faces. They picketed together. It was definitely Team Ponca, Team Ponca City Public Schools. And I'm proud of our teachers and all that they've done. And Zach Murray did an excellent job. I couldn't imagine a better person leading this spearhead for our district. Any questions for me in regard to legislation and the teacher walkout?
You had one slide that showed us, if I remember right, getting an additional $400 per student under the new budget, about $400. How does that offset the reduced ADM count we're going to have?
Well, we are going to fall off the cliff next year because of that, but our carryover is...
Shouldn't we have more money at 400
we do.
Extra?
But something that I'll talk to you about, these raises that we'll be paying, our principals will get a raise too, because in the law, it was, the verbiage included a certified person as a principal too. By the time the money funnels through the formula, we're going to be paying some additional dollars for the raise. Thankfully, our carryover is going to be more than 14%. We don't have to pay the penalty because we get 2 years to deplete it. So with our weighted ADM enrollment being down about $750 to $1 million, and then the extra expense of the raise, it'll be a tight year, but our finances.
Didn't we get
have
about
been-
2 million extra at 400 a student?
We should.
So to me, that's a plus, not a minus.
It is, but once it runs through the formula, it kind of. And I'll talk to you about the raises. Brenda has done a rough estimate of the raises, and we'll be able to cover most of them, but there's going to be some that we'll be responsible for.
Good, thank you. Next item on the consent agenda. We do have a, what was it? On the, no, that's on contracts, isn't it?
Yeah, it's later.
It's under contracts on 6.3. One of them we'll need to remove when you make the motion is number 12, the by board cooperative purchasing. We did that back in, we approved it back in May of 17. It was, I guess they thought we hadn't done it before. We did. So we need to drop that item on the contract list. I'd like a motion to approve all the others on the 6.1, 2, and 3.
I move that we do that.
David made a motion to approve 6, 1, 2, and 3.
I'll second.
Second from Judy. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Thank you. Next item will be 7.1. Consider and take action on the following district's financial reports. We had a good meeting. Robin had a list, and we went through it really good, didn't we? Do you remember that long list? It took about took quite a while to go through. But it was a good meeting.
I wasn't there.
You had your list, though.
Yeah, it was quiet.
I just told him the question.
So I'd like a motion to approve 7.1.
I'll move to approve 7.1.
Thank you, Robin. About a second. Second from David. Any other discussion? None, roll call.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye. Next item will be consider and take action on the following contracts. Contract A was on contract with Municipal Accounting Systems for software services agreement for the 2018-19 school year. The agreement, or B, is agreement with Tiffany 3 Technology for classroom Chromebooks and computers for the summer refresh. So we're going to get, what, 100 laptops? Is that correct?
There's about 100 laptops total, that's for teachers.
Okay.
The rest of them are Chromebooks for students. Again, we do 400 every year
400
for
for
the
that?
incoming freshmen.
Yes.
And then the rest of those are all, we are doing 100 Chromebooks that are going to go to the Wildcat as the Wildcat gets moved over to the old Team Pep Roosevelt area.
Right.
And then the rest of them are going to go to the schools that are getting replaced this summer, which is Trout, Woodlands, Liberty, and Lincoln.
Okay, good. Good program.
So that is the difference in what we're doing this year than in the past also, is that we went all Chromebooks for the students. We're taking out desktops, and that way every classroom will have its own Chromebooks. They'll be one-to-one at the elementary sites. They just won't be leaving the buildings.
Okay. Good deal, thank you. C, comprehensive maintenance agreement with Galaxy Business Equipment for 6 copiers. Is this just I don't remember, I don't think we talked about it. Just the ones we have is just a new agreement to continue the agreement with those same copiers? Or are we adding copiers?
Same copiers.
Same copiers?
Same copiers.
Okay.
I've got a question on that one. Do we bid that? Does that go out for bid?
No, I don't.
Brenda,
I can't
on
answer that one.
copiers.
Do we, oh, go ahead, ask her.
We do, we kind of split the business between Galaxy and Stanley. Galaxy has the copy machines at the copy center, and we purchase those through Galaxy, so that's just the maintenance.
But most of that's, everything's pretty much on a per page,
Yes, it's per page.
but we don't bid it.
Well, we don't bid it because we bought the machines through Galaxy. We did the Stanley bid, where the copies that we made.
So the rentals we bid, the purchase we don't. Is that correct?
I think the purchase ones they're probably state bid. More than likely, aren't they?
We did initially bid out the stuff for the copy center was bid out, and Galaxy won that. They're just providing us the service on the maintenance and stuff like that.
And they provide the toner and the maintenance with that maintenance agreement.
That per copy agreements we have on the others, that's what we did with
That's
the
the ones
city.
we don't bid it out.
No, it's just you just
Should
pay
we?
for. I don't see it.
I mean, we run a pretty big bill for copier services district-wide.
Right, and that's why we did with Stanley last year. We bid it out because we were paying, we had initially when we started purchasing copy machines, we had let the sites keep theirs because that, and if they wanted to pay the maintenance on it, they could. However, it began to cost us a lot of money because we were paying a lot of money for those copies on those old machines. So Stanley came in and took the old machines out, put their machines in, and charged us a less per copy rate than what we were paying when they were our machines.
Which basically is your volume discounts, what you're getting because you're putting more in. But the ones we purchased, we're really stuck with having to go with Galaxy on those until those machines wear out. Okay.
And at the time that we purchased the large volume ones from Galaxy, it was owned by a different company. So they didn't provide the large volume ones as like we wanted that Galaxy did. And Galaxy was able to provide larger volume machines for us at that time.
We did that was that 2 years ago or was that 3 years ago?
It's been years ago.
Oh, on those big machines?
Yes. Some of them.
Guess it's flown by since then.
About 4 years ago, and they're still working. And they don't charge us anymore, even though they're older machines, they don't charge us anymore to operate them than what they did at that time. I mean, it's kind of hard to, if we bid those large machines now with Stanley, because they do have the capability of providing larger machines, we would just have machines that were wasted, because no one's going to pay us very much for those machines because they have so many copies on them. And so we would just have those old machines sitting there and then have a new maintenance agreement with a different company. And if we had to, we were just trying to, two of the machines are very old, but they just keep running, so we just keep running them. I did purchase another one last year or year before last because they had one that they had to go pick up from a company because they weren't paying for it. And so we got a good deal on it. So I went to purchase the third one because I was afraid one of those other two was going to at some time break. But we do have the 3 down there, plus the color copy that we can make copies on. Tammy can keep them all going and get a lot of copies done in each day, especially at the first of the year and, different times throughout the year, there's a lot of copying going on and she can run the color. She's got 4 machines she can run copies on. And also if one of them's down, we have to order a part, then she still has 2 other black and whites that she can run.
Behind machines. We should have leased those from the get-go. Okay.
And we did bid, when we did Stanley, we did Stanley and Galaxy. And this was last year when we redid the Stanley contract. So, and Stanley came in with a good price and they were going to provide the machines, which is a good deal, but we don't have to purchase those machines because we had to purchase them and then pay for copy. So now we don't have to, be out the money for the copy machines. We just have to pay the per copy charge. And it got where the copies with Stanley were less expensive than what we were charging at the copy center. So we lowered the price.
Lowered our rates.
So the teachers weren't using our copy center. They were just using the ones in their building because it was less expensive for them. But we lowered the price at the copy center because we do have those machines and they're high volume and that's what they need to be used for. So the teachers, the business has picked up more at the copy center since we lowered that price back down.
Okay, thank you. Item D is agreement with Evans and Associate Construction Incorporated for the construction of the 8-foot wide walking trail at Lincoln Elementary School.
Liberty.
Oh, it is Liberty. I looked at it. Sorry about that. Liberty Elementary. E is agreement with Jeff and Craig Cheer Camp for the 8th and 12th grade cheer. So where's that at? That's it. They doing that here? That camp, is it here?
And they always do it here, so.
Okay. And F is ratification of agreement on the employment of Stephen H. McDonald and Associates, our financial consulting for the school district. And G, the agreement with Interface Services Incorporated for flooring at the East Middle School hallway and Pohai Assembly Center. That's the service we're going to be doing this summer.
Correct. That's building fund.
Yeah. We have a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve 7.3 A through G. Do we have any other discussion?
Quick question on A, I assume that's just a renewal. Is it at the same price, Brenda? On the accounting system?
Yeah.
What was our price the previous year?
On mass, Brenda?
It probably went up just a little bit, but it's almost what we paid last year. Because last year we had to pay for that conversion over into the new the new software. So we had to pay a little bit extra last year for the conversion. So the overall cost probably isn't any more this year than what we paid last year for the old software and then the conversion to the new software. Because we did have to pay additional when we converted over last year.
It was probably,
For all the
it's probably less than we actually paid last year because there's no conversion.
We had to pay that conversion fee last year.
I remember that.
Okay.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Next item, 7.3, consider and take action on the recognition of May 7th, 18th as Teacher Appreciation Week.
I'll make a motion to approve 7.3.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed. Now, item 7.4, motion to vote to convene an executive session for following purposes to discuss possible termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel on the attached detailed personnel report, to discuss employment of building principals, to discuss negotiations, and to discuss confidential conversations with the board's attorney concerning pending claim and litigation for executive session. We do need an executive session, so I'd like a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Nancy, second by Judy for executive session. Other discussion, roll call?
Dr. Kincaid?
Yes.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed? Aye.
We're in executive session. Open session, minutes of the executive session were kept by the board's minute clerk and remain confidential. 7.7, consider and take action on the following administrative contracts for the 2018 school year for our principals. I have a motion to approve 7.7.
I'll move to approve 7.7.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Robin and second from Judy on 7.7.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed. 7.8, consider and take action on recommendations for termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of the personnel report. Do I have a motion to approve 7.8?
I'll make a motion to approve 7.8.
Second.
Thank you, Judy. We have a motion from Judy, a second from Robin for 7.8. Any other discussion? None, roll call.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye. 8, I don't think no new business, correct?
New business.
Okay, how about a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn. I'll make another motion.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.